And one of the questions that were posed to the Prime Minister and Mr. Jack Ma was, how can these businesses not only make an impact regionally, but also globally? Prime Minister, how do they go global through the DFTZ initiative?
Well, this is the platform for them to go global. But before they can go global, they should avail themselves of the training opportunities. We have Matrade giving them courses how to be involved in cross-border trade. We have SME Corp, teaching them how to develop and grow. We have MDAC, teaching them usahawan, which is e-commerce basically, for small entrepreneurs. And then when they get to be part of the DFTZ, they're actually part of the global supply chain, right up to the marketplace. So in real time, their products will be seen by millions and millions of customers. And as you can see, I mean, that auction, in just 1 minute, we raised 122,000 ringgit, just 1 minute. And as I said, with that kind of market through our DFTZ and e-commerce, I think the opportunities are tremendous. So that's, to me, the starting point is the how part, how to do e-commerce and how to do global. And we've set up the DFTZ because this is the platform for them to go global.
To get a toehold on the next phase. Now, Alibaba is a trailblazer in that regard, making up 95% of the Chinese e-commerce market, but you've also become quite a trailblazer on the global stage. Just take a look at your recent quarterly sales blowout, looking so good. So with that, how do you envision this type of platform helping Malaysian businesses go global? Malaysia Week is just one of those potential platforms.
Yeah, totally agree with PM. But one thing I want to say is I'm extremely excited today because this is why this is the milestone. We think in the past 30 years, the globalization, we small business, young people do not get opportunities. There are a lot of free trade zones giving efficient trade facilitations only for big companies. There is no free trade zone designed only for small business. And this is, I've been shouting everywhere, screaming that every company should do it. I did that in the G20 meeting last year, and this is the hub only designed for small business, exporting, importing. For this FTC, this trade zones, what I would call it, today we help small business, Malaysia business, help them reach the market in China, Russia, Europe, and Southeast Asia, other countries. We would also help them to reach the financing support they need. This is the next step. We will also enable them to deliver the thing. We will also enable them with the cloud computing, the IT technology that every small business should have, but they cannot afford to have in the past centuries. And we also, through the One Touch, we want to work with the DFTZ facilitations that making sure every government will give them one-touch services to all the small business, import, export. Because what we believe, that 80% of the business in the world in the future have to be and must be globalized business. Because of the artificial intelligence, because of the new technology, if you can only do business in your own village, in your own town, it will be difficult for you to survive. You have to sell across the board. Malaysian people love the fruits. World. If you only you have to sell to China, you have to sell to Russia, you have to sell to Europe. and the Middle East. This is what we envision. In the future, DFTZ will be a lot of DFTZ. The DFTZ Malaysia model could be a leading model for many countries to copy, to learn. In this way, the network will be built.
As you see,
Grow and grow as a result of the initiative that we have taken.
so this is future-proofing the economy in a way. And Jack, as I mentioned, it's been 10 years or so since this came to your mind. How do you foresee it then transitioning forward? And as you say, there's the potential for other countries to take this on, but what else do you think needs to be done to make that happen?
Well, let me say in this way, the digital age is the age, you like it, it will be there. You don't like it, it will be there. You have no choice. A lot of people angry about technology. A lot of governments and people say we worry, you hate no matter what, it comes. If you don't embrace it, you'll be left behind. So I think for Alibaba's job today is to work with the government, business, working with every small business that push them that to go forward. It's not that difficult. I'm not a technical guy. I was trained to be a high school teacher. And I embrace it. I got opportunity. The day when I set up my business in my apartment, I told the rest of 17 founders, I said, we don't have money, we don't have technology. We don't have anything that the people say you should be, if you want to be a great company, you must have this. We have none of them. But we want to prove one thing. If Jack Ma and his team can be successful, 80% of the young people in the world can be successful because we believe the future. Any problem that we encountered, we have to solve it. So we don't know. Today, Malaysia government and us for DFTZ, thank you to MTech, we want the people like Yusmin. We want the people like that. We believe the future, we fight for the future. We don't know what problems we have. When the problem comes, we solve the problems. Whatever problem comes, if we determine we want to do it, let's do it. I hate some of the countries, like many of the European countries, they worry, there's like privacy, security, all these things. The more you worry about the future, you don't have the future. Nobody knows the future. The only thing is go create our future. So this is the thing that I think Malaysia government, PM and us, we solve a lot of problems, but there are more problems ahead. If we solve this problem, this is our opportunity. So I'm confident, whatever comes, let's unite it, solve it.
Whatever comes, we are entering uncharted territory, that's for sure. The digital age is arriving, but with that comes change, disruption, and with it how businesses go about with their strategies and making sure that they're still keeping on track with that. Now, Prime Minister, as Jack Ma alluded to earlier, AI is something he's interested in, and you recently announced the National AI Framework. So how perhaps might that govern how business is done going forward, as well as other types of technologies that will ensure we are catching up and really ahead of the digital age?
We have to embrace technology. As Jack said, whether you like it or not, it will happen. And if we are not part of that, then we'll be left behind. So you have only two choices. Either you accept the challenge and be part of it, or you'll be marginalized and left behind. So we choose to be part of it. And we have to train our young people, because I've been speaking about this, how we need to introduce, for example, coding, computer science, at secondary school level, and in our universities, prepare our young people for jobs that do not exist yet. The studies by OECD, I think it was, kids in primary schools today have to occupy jobs that do not exist yet. 65% of the jobs are not in existence. So how do you do it? You prepare them by giving them the skills giving them the computer skills, giving them the higher order thinking skills, teaching them to be innovative, teaching them to solve problems, teaching them to work in a team, and so forth, so forth. So you need to build and develop a new generation of Malaysians through our education system. And then you have to change the mindset. One of the things that I'm not happy about is that our productivity is not increasing as fast as it should. We want it to increase by 3 to 4% a year. We're not there yet. But I believe that we embrace technology. That will mean that we will increase productivity. We are less reliant on foreign labor. And Malaysians will then move up in terms of higher paying jobs. For example, the robots we just saw at the warehouse. Imagine if Malaysians have to do that. They will be doing very menial jobs. But with robots doing that menial jobs, tasking, then they will be moving up the value chain in terms of occupying higher paying jobs. So we have to move in that direction.
There is a debate, though, regarding what that might mean with the displacement of labor, the automation, and whether or not there's enough catching up going on with those who are on the smaller end of the spectrum. So what can be done, perhaps, to ensure that they're not left behind as well?
Well, we have to get involved in training schemes, and we cannot remain in the traditional areas. Even our SMEs, for example, as Jack said, they cannot be selling, in their own village. That means they will be trapped in a low income forever and ever. But if they're part of this, if they're part of the DFTZ, if part of e-commerce, then the world is their marketplace.
Now, Jack, AI is something that excites you very much. You're investing heavily in that space and in other areas like cloud computing, as you mentioned. What do you see being the game changer in the near future? Because, of course, there is the long game to play, but what are the things that we can perhaps see coming in the next few years?
Well, definitely the AI is going to change the world in next 10, 20 years. It's going to be shocking. This is why I think government, private sectors, young people, everybody should get ready for that. This is like the third technology revolution. It's going to take away a lot of jobs, the way we think, the way we do. As I said, unfortunately, it's coming. Fortunately, it's a challenge to anybody. Everybody is new. So I said the bad news is something bad is coming. Good news is everybody's saying the bad news. So if you start to challenge it, it's good. But one thing I would say is that I agree with Prime Minister. I really admire vision, because education is the key. Don't try to compete with machines who is hardworking. Don't try to compete with machine who is smarter. Machine will be smarter than us. But we have to teach our kids. We have to change the way we teach our kids. If we want to teach our kids the way we taught in the past 100 years, we will make our kids lose the jobs. So we should teach our kids things focused on how to be creative, how to be innovative, how to be constructive. This is very important. For us, people sitting in this room, for next 10, 20 years, no matter what happens, we are okay. We know how to survive because we got with something. But our kids may have problems. So I would say artificial intelligence is going to create more jobs, high paid, but much different skills as we been in the past 30 years. And I would say that let our kids to learn 3 Qs. They should have the EQ, how to work with the people. I don't think the machine will have a better EQ than us. We should having the good LQ, IQ, which is okay, intelligence. But we should also focus on making our kids to have more LQ, the Q of love. You have to work with the other people. You have to team up with the people. These are the things. I would say machine will be smarter, but human being will always win. Machine will never be able to control human being because human being will have value, we have a mission, and we have a religion, we have a belief. Machine will not have it. In this way, don't worry too much, embrace it, and we'll control it.
All right, hashtag LQ, guys, keep that in mind. Now, with this in mind, and the technological dividends that could come from such initiatives to prepare the future labor force, there are those now who are entering the DFTZ Phase 1, 1,972 of them. With this in mind, what we have just discussed, Prime Minister, what would be your advice to them to take advantage of this, but also keep in mind what changes, what disruptions may come?
Well, they have to be adaptive. We chose the SMEs because they're small, they're hungry for success, they're nimble, and they're adaptive. They're willing to learn. And these are the ingredients that you need to succeed. So once they are part of DFTZ, I think they will be able to adapt to what it takes to succeed. And when they see the opportunities, being able to sell their products online. And it's not as easy as it sounds. You must know how to sell your product online. There's a technique of doing it. I mean, it's not just putting your product online just like that. There are elements that need to be learned. So you have to be a fast learner, but I'm confident because they're young, because they are energetic, because they want to succeed, and because they have Jack Ma as the icon to aspire to become another Jack Ma or a smaller Jack Ma, I am confident that this will be a huge success.
So to the guru, Jack Ma, what would be your advice to them other than what you have explained to us?
Yeah, the small business, again, please think globally. You have no future if you don't think globally. What does a global mean? Think about. In the future, there will be no made in China. There will be no made in Malaysia. There will be no made in USA. It's going to be made in internet. You might get things here, design there, and sell there, and partner. Learn to do partnership. And also think about it. Manufacturing is no longer be the main driver for job creations. Because artificial intelligence is going to take a lot of jobs for the manufacturing. So the service industry is going to be the job creator. But service industry should be part of the manufacturing. Manufacturing should be part of the service. What is Alibaba? Is Alibaba a service company or manufacturing? We think we are manufacturing. We have 25,000 engineers managing all the processing, producing the data, and making sure data is the product that we engined. It's the manufacturing way of manufacturing information and data. So if you just want to sell the machine, if the machine does not talk to the people, if the machine does not collect the data, if the machine does not talk to the brains, the machine will go, nobody will buy this machine. So think about every small business, no matter how small you are, you have to think globally. You have to partner with the people. You have to know that when people hate it, people worry it, people complain, this is opportunity. If you can solve the complaint, you'll be successful. When people worry, you don't worry. Because worry comes, you don't worry comes. So be optimistic. And it's the opportunity for everybody. That's what my advice.
See the problem, bring the solution. Now, Prime Minister, that's right. Made in the internet. What do you think of that?
Well, there's no such thing as a national thing anymore. There's no such thing as a national car, for example. There is only, as Jack said, made in the internet, but you have to source your components, your supplies from everywhere in the world and put it together. Put together and sell it through the internet and online, and that's your marketplace. So there's no such thing as made in Malaysia or made in China. It's made globally, and it's exported through the internet, and you're part of the global supply chain, and that's the difference.
Now, Jack, as you pointed out in March, more small businesses getting involved means more jobs and a stronger middle class. And Prime Minister, now in your view, what can entrepreneurs who are involved in the DFTZ and other such initiatives perhaps do to contribute back home as well as to contribute to the economy?
Well, I believe they will source a lot of supplies, from locally, from the domestic economy. And if the demand for their products continues to grow, then they can source a lot of their components and parts from the local economy. So there will be the backward linkage to the Malaysian economy. And secondly, because they'll be able to sell and grow exponentially, then because they're growing exponentially, they will be able to generate more income. Once they generate more income, they'll bring back the money, hopefully, and not keep it overseas, and create more investment in the country as well.
And Jack, you've seen this firsthand, I would assume.
Yeah, I think last century, big size, large scale of money, standardization, assembly lines, containers was the main fortune. This century, personalization, customization, innovation, small. So I think last century, the big, the better. This century, small is beautiful, small is powerful. For creating jobs, it's impossible for a big, huge companies to double their size. For a small business, they only have like 2 or 3 people. When they're able to learn to sell across the board, double their size is simple and easy. So I am a strong believer that this century, small is beautiful, small is powerful. And we should, like the Malaysia government, we should giving all the resources, money, to making sure that the small business have the right policies, not the big companies the right policies. We should make specific policies, tax, technology, innovation to empower them, to make technology inclusive enough so every small business be able to using that. So by that, country like Malaysia, country like China, when you have 80 or 70% of the business, small business, the country economy will be stabilized. If this is what we did in the early days, year 2003 and 2, my team asked me, say, Jack, it's so difficult to do business, e-business in China. Shall we focus on helping big companies? Because getting one big company can make us survive for a whole year. So we, Alibaba, only focus on 5 big companies, and then we can survive for another 10 years. I say, what if 3 of them or 1 of them lost? We're in trouble. So we should learn to survive, to support a small business. When we have millions of small business, then our business model can be sustained. So this is what we think a country should do, is supporting small business, because they are always there. They will make a lot of middle class. When you have enough middle class, the country's economy is stabilized. This is what we believe.
Stable and sustainable.
Sustainable.
Now, this is the last burning question from the entrepreneurs that you addressed on Tuesday, Prime Minister. They were hoping to know who has inspired you the most in your life, who has made the most tremendous impact. So this is a story that they like to hear.
Well, that's a tough question, but I suppose from my own personal perspective, I would have to say my late father inspired me most. He inspired me because he started in a very, very modest way, almost like how Jack started. And it was, in the days when he learned mathematics, and they didn't have a blackboard. They had to do it on the ground, all those simple arithmetic. And that was the kind of background that he started with. But he had one thing. He had this determination, to make Malaysia develop. And he wanted, you know, to modernize Malaysia. He wanted to develop the rural sector. He wanted to bring new industries to Malaysia. But unfortunately, he didn't live long enough. He died quite early. In fact, he died at the age of about 54. He died. But now that God has blessed me with an opportunity to lead this country, I want to take Malaysia to that ultimate goal. And that ultimate goal, I've said it, and I'll say it again. I want Malaysia to be a top 20 nation by the year 2050, even earlier than that. So I will work hard, and I know my colleagues will work hard, and I'm confident with the support of the people, God willing, we will be there.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Onwards and upwards. And Jack, your mentor in life.
Yeah. When Prime Minister talking, I'm thinking about who inspired me. There is a movie called Forrest Gump. Yeah, he inspired me a lot. It's a life like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get. And by catching small shrimps, make you succeed, not catching big whales. And anything that day when I watched the movie, I tell to myself, no matter how big dream you have, how big vision you have to start from your time and making sure the product's good, the service good, your team are happy. And that really changed my mind, that global vision, local win. And that also inspired me that hard working, stay foolish with your dream. Right? You know, no matter if, there are so many fancy ideas, but I only love my fancy ideas. Keep on working, find great partners, find a good team, and wait for another. I don't believe there is one thing that you will succeed tomorrow. I don't believe the one thing that you do today you will succeed next year. I believe if I have a dream, it takes me at least 10 years to be succeed. So everything we have, stay foolish for 10 years. Then you will have a chance.
And to dream awake. So we've come to the end of the live chat, but Prime Minister, I'd like to give you the final thought. As Jack highlighted, it's important to find partners with which to work with. And this is certainly a momentous occasion that involved many, many partners.
Yes, it's something that you need to do, because you cannot have everything. You cannot have all the expertise, know-how. You can't have all the capital. But find others who have what you don't have. And the key is to work together. And this DFTZ is a prime example of what we can accomplish when we find the right partners. And with Jack Ma as the right partner, I believe he's the right partner. I believe we will go places with Alibaba and Jack Ma. So the key to do is to find the right partners. And as a government, we have to have the right partnership. And what more, the biggest partnership is if the people are with the government. That is key. To make things happen, the rakyat, the people must be with us. Believe in us, then we can succeed.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, Jack.